Today we're going to talk about some Blackmagic cameras again. I've been a super fan of the Blackmagic cameras ever since the beginning of the Blackmagic Cinema Camera. And if you're not familiar with this, we're going to see if it's still a great camera today. So if you're an entry-level filmmaker or cinematographer or videographer, this is a great camera for that level. If you just want to get started making some short films or do something on YouTube, then you don't have to spend a whole lot of money. This version is the 2.5K version with the EF mount, but this camera does come in multiple mounts from micro four thirds to EF, Canon EF mount, or the PL mount, which is a more professional, you'll find on cinema cameras like the Red, or also on the Arri Alexa, or the Alexa Mini, or the Sony Venice. Most of your higher end cameras are going to have that PL mount. Some of the features that we can go through, it is internal battery operated. Over time, like this camera right here, I've had in my possession for 10 years and it's still going strong. The battery still works great on it. I charged it a little bit the other day. It still has 75% battery life on it, which is fantastic. It's not going to last that long, but it is great that there's still some battery life to this 10 years later. You imagine most batteries, even a car battery, is not going to last you 10 years. So the internal battery's been great on this camera. Obviously, I'm not going to run just on the internal battery. I'm going to use something else like a V-mount battery or this Zyte brick battery. This is a fantastic purchase for anybody out there. It powers all my Blackmagic cameras, from my pocket cinema camera to the Blackmagic Cinema Camera to the micro cinema camera, and it'll also power monitors and everything else. This thing lasts me all day. I can't stress enough about the Zyte batteries. If you haven't seen some of my other videos, I touch on the Zyte battery and using them with the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K and the Pocket Cinema Camera 6K. And it's a great battery option versus the Canon LPE6 or the Sony MPF batteries. But back to the cinema camera here. Some of the other features that we have on the side, you have remote. If you wanted to add a remote to this, you have your headphone jack, your 1/4 inch audio inputs, channel 1 and channel 2, 1/4 inch. So you might need to adapt that, or you get an XLR input on one end and the 1/4 inch on the other end, and then you can power your microphones that way. It does not have phantom power on the body, so that's a downside. You would have to get some kind of mixer or preamp or something like that, like a Tascam DR70 or DR701. Something like that, or a Zoom or anything like that, to do really sophisticated audio recording. But you can just put a shotgun mic on here and get some pretty decent audio, and then pump up the levels. You're going to have to pump up the levels in post-production. The next thing that we have here is the SDI input. That's pretty awesome. A lot of cameras are moving away from this, but SDI input is still the professional option for mostly professional monitors and things. It's what you're going to find on the Red, also what you're going to find on the Arri Alexa and some higher end cameras, maybe C300, things like that. A lot of the smaller bodies are going to HDMI. Not a big deal. If you have an HDMI monitor, there are many adapters out there that'll take you from SDI to HDI if you wanted to do that. Another thing at the bottom here is the Thunderbolt. Also something kind of going out of style, something I never use anymore. And then at the very bottom is the power, the 12 volt, or 12 volt to 30 volt in power. Another big selling point on the other side is its SSD, solid state drive. You can find these pretty much used anywhere. Not all of them are going to work great. This Intel one has been fantastic for me and has worked very well. It's also something I've used on the Pocket Cinema cameras, and not the greatest because you have to put it in a USB-C external drive to record on them. So they're not going to do that high resolution raw video at a high bit rate, but they seem to record pretty well in Apple ProRes 4K and probably below that. So we'll check that now. Also, the beauty about this just slides right on in, record, slide on out, put it in any external drive that accepts the 2.5 laptop drives, and transfer your media, and you're good to go. And just in this little short time, my battery's starting to go down to 25%, flashing between 50 and 25%. And that's probably a great time for me to attach this Zyte external brick. Just standard DC plugs, boom, in there, boom, in here, and then we're powered up, ready to go. The great thing about these batteries is it's got a little tester there so I can see how much life is on the battery. I'm not going to see it on the camera itself. I don't know if you can see that, but it's always going to say 100% when it's really just internally charging. So you don't know when it's fully charged or anything like that, at least that I know of, because again, this camera is really, really old. And the battery inside has been worked to death. This has been my workhorse for many, 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 many years. Waiting for newer cameras to come out, not just jumping on the Sony bandwagon and spending, you know, $3,000, $4,000 for all new lenses and batteries and everything like that. Being a camera photography background and owner and things, I wanted to have a camera that I can just put my Canon photography lenses on. I've updated since then. Obviously, this is not a Canon photography lens. This is the Rokinon or Samyang Zine lens with the EF mount. So since I have the EF body here, I can put the EF cinema lenses that I use on my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K, which is also an EF mount. And we will take this guy out and shoot some video and see how great this camera holds up 10 years later. I will shoot some full HD video, and I will shoot some 2.5 raw video and put it together and do a little light color correction, color grading, nothing extensive, just to give you an idea of what the image on this is. You can pick these cameras up today probably with a solid state drive, maybe even a cage like I'm using the Small Rig cage here. Small Rig makes a fantastic cage for all the Blackmagic stuff, even though I've moved on to a Tilta for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera, mostly because it comes in a package deal, so I don't want to just keep scrapping out pieces. I got the whole Tilta cage and rails and all that for these guys, just all in one price. Didn't have to research it, just buy it and go. I'm not opposed to Small Rig They actually make some fantastic cages. This is a small rig cage on the micro cinema camera. This is a small rig cage on the Blackmagic Cinema Camera. Love their stuff, but if it came in a package deal, I'd do that instead probably, but all this stuff mixes and matches and works fantastic together. I also really love the NATO rail that small rig has. Slides on, push down, slides in. So I've got us all rigged up on just a shoulder rig. I've added my follow focus, the handles, all this. Half of this is small rig stuff and some of it's Lamparte, something like that. I don't really know the name, but they make some good quality stuff, especially V-mount battery stuff. This is a Votiga. Honestly, this is a cheap follow focus. This thing cost me, I think, $40 on Amazon, and it's been good. You know, it's just for follow focus on my cinema lenses and things. It's been a great little follow focus. I've spent like $200, $300 in the past on a follow focus, and I don't think you really need to do all that. This Feiyutech, I bought maybe a couple years ago. It's been really great, just handheld follow focus. Obviously, for bigger shoots, I'm using the Tilta Nucleus N and the Tilta Nucleus M. Those are great wireless follow focus systems, and then the Feiyutech on my gimbal has its own follow focus system. But just for a little handheld deal, I use this guy. It's great, manual follow focus. I recommend checking them out and getting something cheap if you're gonna actually use this camera and cinema lenses. You may want to look into getting some kind of follow focus. You're gonna need it, as you'll see in the footage. Something else I want to touch on about what we shot today is you'll see the difference in color correcting RAW versus color correcting Apple Prores, and how powerful something like DiVinci Resolve really is. You'll see a much better color grading and correction done in DiVinci Resolve with the RAW format versus the Apple ProRes Full HD format that was color corrected in Adobe Premiere Pro. I could sit there for hours and just tweak the color correction, get rid of some of the green from outside that was within that footage. But you know, for YouTube, I'm not gonna sit there and waste hours upon hours a day color correcting that. I just want you to see like a quicker workflow from DiVinci Resolve and RAW format versus shooting in Apple ProRes. I spent no time on the color correction. I just quickly boom, bing, bang, boom, finish it up, and it's done. And the color correction in the RAW comes out much better, much more solid colors, less green tint than what it does in Apple ProRes. So with that being said, here's the footage. So I want to thank you for watching my video, and don't neglect these old school cameras. There's still great cameras, as you can see, completely sharp, great for, you know, indie filmmakers or budget filmmakers or somebody that's looking at getting a package of cinematography equipment and things, starting out small and building up your gear from there. I definitely still love this camera and still use it today. You know, I see nothing wrong with purchasing old equipment that shoots great video as this one does. So if you're looking for a cinema camera, Blackmagic is what it is. All right? Subscribe, like, and if you didn't like, subscribe and don't like, and we'll see you in the next video.